So, we got a few new looks at some of the Halo campaign evolved gameplay, skulls, and other exciting features through 3 different videos that were dropped recently. This being the skulls explanation video, a 28-minute gameplay promo, I guess you could call it, on Assault on the Control Room, and then a third-person gameplay footage trailer. Now, I'm not one of the lucky guys that got early access to play any of it, because why the fuck would I? But I have gone through all the footage and condensed it down into some of the things I noticed and some of the important takeaways from the footage. So I'll go through them in no particular order. Firstly, I have to say the graphics look stunning, especially the lighting. I couldn't be more impressed by how realistic and how luscious is a weird word to use, but they look so beautiful and engaging, especially with the way that new particle effects have been added, like how the ghost kicks up snow as it uses its boost, which makes sense because it's affecting the gravity. It's honestly fascinating how far we've come to the point where these graphics look similar to what was achieved with the Blur Studios Halo 2 Anniversary cinematics, which obviously were pre-rendered, so you wouldn't have expected them in gameplay. Honestly, it's looking beautiful, and I think if we're just basing this game on the graphics alone, it's so stunning. Design changes have been made, some that I question and others that I'm grateful for. So, for instance, the Banshee design hasn't been what I'm going to call reachified. It looks like it did in Halo 1, and I couldn't be more grateful because I don't like the Halo Reach design. In addition, speaking of Halo Reach, the Elite designs have been given their Halo Reach designs to reflect the ranking. So the officers have the different headpiece, and the generals also have the different headpiece. The Spec Ops have their weird pointy nose cone things, which personally I'm not really a big fan of. I get why they've done it, but I think that those styles were so iconic to Reach that they should stay that way. And I know that people didn't like it when it was done in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, so I question why they've added it into this one. The Forerunner structures and interiors look more like Infinite's Forerunner style than Halo Combat Evolved's, which I think is not amazing. I noticed this especially on the doors and panels to activate doors and lifts in Assault on the Control Room. I just don't think they have the same iconic style from Halo Combat Evolved. I noticed the shade turret design reflects the more modern look, kind of a fusion between the modern shade turrets and the base of the Halo Combat Evolved, which I'm not happy with because I much prefer the design of the Halo Combat Evolved shade turret, but I can understand why they have done it. I absolutely love the Wraith. The Wraith's looking really nice. I noticed that the assault rifle has had its sounds updated, so its firing sounds more like Halo Combat Evolved than Infinite.
It's here stronger than I anticipated. They seem to have the entire region secured.
Which is a big step and something that I really didn't like about the original gameplay we saw. I'm really grateful to see that they made this change. However, that comes with the fact that the Scorpion has lost its alternate fire machine gun, and it's been replaced with the mounted machine gun, which you see in the later Halo game Scorpion tanks, which I don't really like. I don't see a need to update these designs to make them more modern when they were fine as is, and you want to stay more true to the source material, but alas, that's changed. Some features return from older Halo games, like the rocket launcher has its lock-on from Halo 2, which, honestly, based on the trailer, is to varying levels of success. You're now able to trade weapons with allies like you can in Halo 2 and beyond, which is really exciting. I've always loved this feature, giving all my powerful weapons to the Marines so they have infinite ammo with them. That's really exciting. Interestingly, and I wasn't expecting this, the overshield and active camouflage now act like Halo 3 equipment, allowing you to use them at any time rather than it being an instant use upon pickup. Speaking of Halo 3, suicide grunts have also made a return, which is really exciting to see. Using a melee attack on enemies now creates a visual blood splatter on your visor, the color of the blood being based on the enemy that you punched, which I think is a really neat small detail that they didn't have to do, but it's definitely cool to see. The third person mode footage didn't show us too much new things, but it did show us that the loading screen is back from Halo 2, which I really wasn't expecting. The transition fade effect as it goes from the left to the right. I was honestly in awe when I saw that initially. And speaking of original style screens, the main menu screen and the skull select screen has the background of the original Halo Combat Evolved with the ring in the background as it moves around, which is a really nice homage to that original. There's also the return of old Covenant assets like the Covenant crates and radio stations, which was something I was really upset about seeing them not return. So I'm really happy that we've seen them come back, and I know it's such a small gripe, but they were iconic, man. Now, the Skulls footage actually showed us a surprising amount of content. We got to look at weapons we haven't seen integrated yet, like the Sentinel Beam. We saw that there were skulls to make the gameplay experience reflect the classic Halo Combat Evolved, which was given the assault rifle 60 rounds, no sprinting, no zooming with weapons, and no vehicle damage. I don't know why the assault rifle has been made to have 36 rounds, but they've made a skull to give it 60. Why not just give it 60 in the first place? That is such a weird design choice that I really don't understand, but it is what it is. No, the craziest thing that came from this Skulls trailer is the first look at the Flood in Halo Combat Evolved. We got to see tank forms, which come from Halo 3, they weren't in the original, and also infection forms and carrier forms, which I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't show any of the Flood until the actual game dropped. So it was really weird in this like random trailer for them to show them out of nowhere, no build up or anything, but they're there. That was just a quick look at some of the things I picked up on while going through the footage. I highly recommend that you go and watch it for yourself so you can see the full thing. This is just to serve as a quick analysis into the new details we've got, and I'm sure I've missed things. I think going forward, I'm very cautiously optimistic about this game. I still have a lot of gripes with the style, and I don't agree with all the design choices. I know that there's a lot of unhappiness, and people think that this is just a cash grab, which I completely get, and I don't entirely disagree. I think Halo Campaign Evolved is unnecessary, but I think because we're getting it anyway, we need to, well, we don't need to, but I would like to approach it with a positive mindset, but not let it off the hook if there's some choices that are just very questionable, which I'd like to think I've pointed out in this video. I hope to see you again soon. I'll be covering more Halo footage as it comes out. Bye.